Why would a ski area spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for insulated tarps? Well, it might sound crazy, but it could be the key to starting the ski season just a little bit earlier. And yeah, it's already happening right here in the Midwest, so let's talk about it. What's going on, Midwest skiers and riders? Today it's about 80 degrees outside, pretty much full-blown summer, so what better day to talk about snow? And since the Midwest had a couple of snow-farmed events going on this past week, it kind of all comes together. But let's just start with the idea, snow farming. Where did this idea come from to save 6+ months of snow, something that doesn't even seem possible? Well, this idea has deeper history than you probably think. See, back in the 1800s and early 1900s, before modern-day refrigeration, entire communities relied on a system called ice harvesting. Each winter, workers would head out onto frozen lakes and rivers with giant saws and tongs cutting blocks of ice, sometimes up to 2 feet thick. These blocks would then be hauled, often by horse-drawn sleds, to massive insulated ice houses. The insulation? Usually sawdust or straw, and it worked. These ice blocks could last all the way through summer, supplying everything from ice boxes in homes to rail cars transporting perishables across the country. Ice harvesting became a full-blown industry. Cities like Boston and New York had entire economies built around them, and in some years, tens of thousands of tons of ice were exported around the world. So when we talk about storing snow, the concept isn't new by any means. What has changed is the application and the science behind making it work in the context of our ski industry. It wasn't until about the late 20th century that the idea started gaining traction in the alpine regions of Europe. Ski racing teams were always chasing early season snow for training, and natural snowfall just wasn't cutting it. So instead, they started preserving snow in the spring, stockpiling it under giant tarps, and redistributing it in the fall. And it worked. Resorts realized that if you could do it right, you can save a lot of snow, like 70 to 90% of what you stashed away, depending on where and how it was stored. So let's break that down. What's actually happening inside that snow pile? First, snow is made up of individual ice crystals, but when it's man-made, it's denser and more tightly packed. And if you haven't seen our video on how ski areas make snow, well, you should definitely check that out. I will link that below. But that density makes a big difference. More densely packed snow equals less surface area exposed to the warmth, which all equates to a slower melt rate. But here's the basic recipe for keeping snow all summer long. Start with dense, man-made snow, cover it with wood chips, sawdust, or another type of insulation to block heat, and top it with a white reflective tarp that will bounce sunlight and trap cold air. It's really that simple. Here's where it gets even cooler. Literally, the snow pile sort of insulates itself. The outer layer melts slightly, and the resulting meltwater soaks into the insulating layer, which enhances insulation by reducing air movement and forming a semi-sealed boundary, creating kind of a crust, where the outer layer hardens and traps cold air inside, even as ambient temperatures outside climb. And the bigger the pile, the better the results. That's because of something called surface area to volume ratio. A small pile loses more heat because a greater percentage of the snow is exposed to warm air, but a larger pile has more interior snow protected by that outer crust, so bigger is better when it comes to preserving snow. And when it comes to preserving snow in a big way, nobody has it more dialed than Levi in Finland. Every spring, Levi stores about 200,000 cubic meters of snow, or roughly 8,000 dump trucks worth. They insulate it, protect it, and then uncover it and spread it out in October to kick off their season earlier than basically anybody else. For them, snow farming isn't just a backup plan, it is the plan. It supports early season tourism, race training, and even marketing campaigns. And it's not just about opening day hype. As weather patterns grow more unpredictable, snow farming is a form of climate adaptation. In fact, this now regular part of their operation all started back in 2016 because they wanted to guarantee that they would be able to hold their World Cup race after that season's race got canceled due to, lack of snow. Over the next few seasons, their team would refine the practice and work with Snow Secure to reduce their snow loss rate, going from 30 to 50% with traditional methods to now 10 to 20% using fleece-style geotextile blankets along with Snow Secure's patented covers. That means that they are retaining nearly 90% of the snow that they save. And this is why Levi can now reliably host one of the first FIS World Cup races of the season every single year. And that's precisely what Tyrol Basin is hoping to do this upcoming season. Well, I mean, not host a World Cup, but get a jump on the season. They invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into Snow Secure, the same tarp system that is used in Levi. This system is specifically designed for snow storage and even has real-time monitoring and data insights, which is pretty dang cool. These tarps can be used by themselves, or you can still insulate them with a material of your choice, only adding to the effectiveness. This past weekend, they held their June Jam on snow that was saved on Barnyard, but if you look on their webcams, on the beach share, you'll see an even bigger pile that they are saving for next season to help give them a head start to open earlier and hopefully with more terrain. The idea is that they can hopefully guarantee Thanksgiving skiing with a lift. And there's also a sustainability bonus to this as well. Since snow was made in the middle of winter, it takes less energy to produce than cranking snow guns in October, saving water, electricity, and emissions. Not only that, but in theory, when they do fire up in the fall, they should have a slight head start as some of the ground will already be frozen, with the potential for higher early season output. And that's not all, because if you turn your attention to their tubing cam, you'll also see there's another pile being stored there. The goal here is to hopefully get tubing open before Christmas, something that has been really hard for them to do consistently. All told, Tyrol has purchased 5 of these Snow Secure tarps, and according to their team, things are looking really good. They unfold and install quickly, and so far the team estimates that those June Jam piles only lost about 5% of their original volume from when they were stored a few months ago. Pretty dang impressive. Snow Secure guarantees at least 70% retention and as much as 90% retention over the off-season. However, I am just a tad bit skeptical. Levi's operation is no doubt impressive, but when you take a look at their location and climate, it's hard to know if we would be able to match that efficiency here in the Midwest. Surprisingly, Levi actually has pretty similar elevation to that of Midwestern ski areas, with a base elevation of around 700 feet and a summit elevation of just over 1,700 feet. But the most significant difference is the weather. Levi's hottest month is July, which averages a temperature of 58 degrees Fahrenheit, compared to Madison, Wisconsin, which is 72 degrees Fahrenheit. And these differences can be even greater during some of the other months. That said, it's hard to say how much impact these differences will have, but what is great is that we now have a case study with Tyrol Basin. It'll be interesting to see how Tyrol's stashes fare over this offseason. Right now, there are 3 ski areas in the Midwest that utilize snow farming: Tyrol Basin, Trollhaugen, and Hyland Hills. However, nobody has attempted to use snow farming as a way to kickstart their regular season. Well, at least until this fall. What I can tell you is that if Snow Secure's system does work as intended and as they promise, it will get the attention of a lot of Midwest operators. For the Midwest, this could be a game changer. Snow farming could give ski areas a chance to stop relying so much on weather guesswork and start planning with more confidence. But snow farming isn't a magic bullet. It requires space, time, equipment, and of course, labor. You need areas to store snow where it won't get contaminated or damaged. You have the cost of the cats moving it during the spring and then again in the fall. And then of course you have the labor that's involved during this entire process. This isn't to mention the cost of the tarps, which in Snow Secure's case are super expensive. For many smaller ski areas, especially in the Midwest, snow farming might not make sense yet, but that could change. As material tech improves and scales, costs could come down. And paired with how extensive snowmaking is across the Midwest already, snow farming could stretch seasons earlier without relying on Mother Nature's mood swings. She can be really fussy sometimes. I mean, look at what Boyne was able to do this season, making enough snow to stay open into late May. Now imagine if that was covered with Snow Secure's tarps, allowing Boyne to open even earlier in the fall when demand is much higher. So no, snow farming isn't flashy. Actually, it's a method that's been used for over 200 years, but it has the potential to be one of the most practical, sustainable tools that we have for keeping ski seasons reliable and consistent. Is it the future? Will more areas adopt this practice? It's hard to say, but what I do know is there's gonna be a lot of eyes on Tyrol Basin this upcoming fall. But what do you think? Should the Midwest be looking more closely at snow farming? And will Tyrol's trailblazing experiment be a success? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more ski content throughout this summer and into next year. But until next time, I hope everybody has a great week. Pray for that snow, and I'll see you out there.